It was supposed to be a regular afternoon. An elderly woman, just going about her day, had no idea she was about to be stopped by the police, for no reason at all. She wasn't speeding. She wasn't breaking any laws. But that didn't seem to matter. Officers surrounded her, asking questions, checking her belongings, and making her feel like a suspect in her own neighborhood. She tried to stay calm, but the tension was undeniable. What the officers didn't know, this wasn't just anyone's mother. She was the mother of a powerful figure, someone who knew the law better than anyone. And when her son showed up, everything changed. Faces dropped. Excuses started. But was it too late? Would justice be served, or would they try to cover it up? Stay tuned, because this story is just getting started. The officers shifted uncomfortably as the car pulled up. The man who stepped out wasn't just any concerned son. He was a commissioner, someone who had spent years fighting for justice and holding law enforcement accountable. His mother, still shaken, looked up at him, relief and frustration mixed in her eyes. He immediately knew something was wrong. He turned to the officers, his voice calm but firm. "What's going on here?" Silence. The officers exchanged glances, suddenly unsure of themselves. One of them cleared his throat, scrambling for an explanation. They mumbled something about a routine check, but their words didn't add up. Why her? Why now? The commissioner wasn't buying it. He knew exactly how these situations played out, how excuses were made, how reports were rewritten, how the truth got buried. But this time, they had stopped the wrong person, and he wasn't going to let it slide. The officers shifted nervously, their confidence fading as the commissioner's steady gaze demanded answers. His mother clutched her purse, still shaken by the way they had treated her. She wasn't just stopped, she was searched, questioned like a suspect, made to feel like she didn't belong in her own neighborhood. And for what? One officer finally spoke. "Just a routine stop, sir." His voice wavered, and the commissioner caught it. A routine stop. For an elderly woman walking home from the store, he knew better. He had spent his career exposing these so-called routine stops, and now it had happened to his own mother. The commissioner turned to her. "Did they tell you why?" She shook her head, her eyes filled with frustration. "They didn't have to," she said quietly. That hit him hard. He had seen it before, the unspoken reasons, the quiet injustices. But this time, he wasn't just an observer. This time, it was personal. The air grew heavy with tension. The commissioner took a slow step forward, his voice calm but sharp. "So, let me get this straight. You stopped my mother, searched her, and made her feel like a criminal, without giving her a reason." His words cut through the silence like a blade. The officers hesitated. One glanced at the other, as if searching for backup. "Sir, we were just doing our job," the second officer finally muttered. The commissioner let out a slow breath, steadying himself. He had heard those words too many times before, always used to justify the unjustifiable. But standing here now, watching his mother, his own flesh and blood, go through what so many others had, it struck differently. This wasn't just another case. This wasn't just another headline. Before he could say another word, a third officer, one who had been silent until now, stepped forward. His expression was unreadable, but his eyes carried something the commissioner recognized instantly: fear. Not fear of him, but fear of what had just been done, of what would come next. The commissioner locked eyes with the third officer, sensing the shift in energy. This one wasn't scrambling for an excuse. He looked like he had just realized the full weight of what had happened. His hesitation spoke louder than words. Before anyone could say more, a voice crackled through one of the officers' radios. "Unit 12, report on the stop. Do you need backup?" The officer fumbled to turn the volume down, but it was too late. The commissioner caught it. Backup. For an elderly woman running errands, his jaw tightened. "Who called this in?" he asked, his voice dangerously calm. No one answered. The officers were caught. This wasn't random. This wasn't routine. Someone had flagged his mother. But why? and more importantly, who? Just then his mother, still holding her purse tight, finally spoke. "Son," she said softly, looking up at him. "I don't think this was a mistake." The commissioner felt a chill run through him at his mother's words. She wasn't just shaken, she was certain. This wasn't random. Someone had targeted her, but why? And who would have known she was connected to him? He turned back to the officers, his patience gone. "Who called this stop in?" he demanded. The third officer, the one who looked uneasy, shifted on his feet. Finally, he exhaled and reached for his radio. "Dispatch, who issued the directive on this stop?" A pause, then a crackling response. "Stand by." The commissioner's mother tightened her grip on his arm. Something about this wasn't adding up. Then the radio crackled again. But this time the voice was different. A name came through, a name the commissioner recognized. His own department. His stomach dropped. This wasn't just a bad stop. Someone within his own ranks had ordered it. But the real question was, why? The commissioner's heart pounded as the realization set in. Someone from his own department had ordered this stop. This wasn't just about his mother, it was about him. A message. A warning. He took a slow breath, steadying himself. "We're done here," he said firmly, wrapping a protective arm around his mother. The officers hesitated, but the third one, the one who had looked uneasy, finally nodded. "Sir, I think you need to look into this," he murmured. The commissioner knew he would. This wasn't over. If someone within the system thought they could intimidate him, they had made a serious mistake. He had fought too hard for justice to back down now. As he walked his mother away from the scene, he squeezed her hand. "I'll handle this," he assured her. She nodded but didn't let go. "Just be careful, son." He knew she was right. This was only the beginning.